Hi, I am going to read to you today. This is story time. We're going to do a book that I really like and a book that's Katie's favorite book, and her grandma would read it to her all the time when she was little. So this is one of her favorite books, and it's fun to read. So sometime you should borrow it from me. It's called Caps for Sale, right? And it's by this guy's name is really hard to pronounce. I don't know. Esfire Slobaknina. Woo! I don't know if I said that right. But he's a good writer. Has a very good imagination. And this book has been used so much. Do you see how wrinkly it is? We've read it so many times. And it didn't win one of the awards like the other books, but it did win a Reading Rainbow Book Award. So that's kind of like, that's a good award too. Okay, so here we go. Caps for Sale. Once there was a peddler who sold caps. But he was not like an ordinary peddler carrying his wares on his back. He carried them on top of his head. These are kind of different words, huh? Not words that we use as much in English, but they are English words, so we have to learn them. First he had on his own checked cap, then a bunch of gray caps, then a bunch of brown caps, then a bunch of blue caps, and on the very top, a bunch of red caps. Do you think you could balance all those caps on your head? I don't know if I could. You'd have to stand up really straight and have really good posture. He walked up and down the streets, holding himself very straight so as not to upset his caps. As he went along, he called, "Caps! Caps for sale! 50 cents a cap!" Well, that's a good deal. Caps cost a lot more now. This story is a little bit old. Oh. One morning, he couldn't sell any caps. He walked up the street and he walked down the street, calling, "Caps! Caps for sale! 50 cents a cap!" But nobody wanted any caps that morning. Nobody even wanted a red cap. He began to feel very hungry, but he had no money for lunch. "I think I'll go for a walk in the country," said he, and he walked out of town slowly, slowly, so as not to upset his caps. Did you notice they had some of our reading words in that one? It had up and down and slow. We did those words for reading, huh? He walked for a long time until he came to a great big tree. "That's a nice place for a rest," thought he, and he sat down very slowly under the tree and leaned back little by little against the tree trunk so as not to disturb the caps on his head. Then he put up his hand to feel if they were straight. First his own checked cap, then the gray caps, then the brown caps, then the blue caps, then the red caps on the very top. Oh, he can even sleep while he balances his caps. He is a talented man. They were all there, so he went to sleep. He slept for a long time. I like this picture. It's very simple. Just the sky and the sun on a flower. When he woke up, he was refreshed and rested. But before standing up, he felt with his hand to make sure his caps were in the right place. And all he felt was his own checked cap. Where'd they go? Where do you think his caps went? He looked to the right of him, no caps. He looked to the left of him, no caps. He looked in back of him, no caps. He looked behind the tree, no caps. Are you reading this with me? I bet you could. You could read those words. Then he looked up into the tree. And what do you think he saw? What do you think? On every branch sat a monkey. On every monkey was a gray or a brown or a blue or a red cap. Those monkeys stole his caps. The peddler looked up at the monkeys. The monkeys looked at the peddler. He didn't know what to do. Finally, he spoke to them. You monkeys, you, he said, shaking a finger at them. You give me back my caps. But the monkeys only shook their fingers back at him and said, "Tss, tss, tss." This made the peddler angry. So he shook both hands at them and said, You monkeys, you give me back my caps. But the monkeys only shook both their hands back at him and said, Tss, tss, tss. Now he felt quite angry. He stamped his foot and he said, You monkeys, you better give me back my caps. But the monkeys only stamped their feet back at him and said, Tss, tss, tss. By this time, the peddler was really very, very angry. He stamped both his feet and shouted, You monkeys, you must give me back my caps. But the monkeys only stamped both their feet back at him and said, "Tss, tss, tss." And they say "tss, tss, tss," because they say in English, we make the "s" sound all the time. That's the sound that most of the words sound like. They have the "s" sound. So when you're speaking, see how many times it sounds like the "s" sound. Okay? At last, he became so angry that he pulled off his own cap, threw it on the ground, and began to walk away. But then, each monkey pulled off his cap, and all the gray caps, and all the brown caps, and all the blue caps, and all the red caps came flying down out of the tree. So the peddler picked up his caps and put them back on his head. First his own checked cap, then the gray caps, then the brown caps, then the blue caps, then the red caps on the very top. And slowly, slowly, he walked back to town calling, Caps, caps for sale, 50 cents a cap. The end. Isn't that funny? Those monkeys were copying him, so he finally did something that would make them copy him to do the thing he wanted them to do, right? So that's a fun book to read. So sometime you should borrow it and read it with me. And I want you to keep reading, keep enjoying your stories, and have a wonderful day.